Well, hello there, Retro PC Durham. Chris here, checking out another machine. We've got this small form factor desktop. This is an Acer Aspire, and the model number is a mouthful. This is an AX3810-E3813A. Okay, well, it's an Acer Aspire, small form factor desktop, mostly in the condition that I got it in terms of not needing to do a heck of a lot of upgrades. So a couple things I had to do is the two front panels here that would like flip down to cover up the multi-burner and the front panel connectors. There was a lot of broken plastic, so I just got rid of them completely. So no need to worry about those anymore. Otherwise, the system's in pretty good condition. There was a couple components that were missing inside the machine as well that I needed to replace. But, you know, otherwise it's pretty good. So we've got the multi-burner, power buttons up here, a bunch of front panel connectors here, USBs and multi-card readers, etc. And then if we flip around to the back, we have a GPU. As you can see, there's a GPU installed here, and a Wi-Fi card. I added some antennas to the Wi-Fi card, something actually I don't usually get the chance to do. But, you know, this had a Wi-Fi already, and it's a small form factor Wi-Fi, so I just left it in there. Power supply, and then we've got keyboard, mouse, display port, and VGA outputs, USB and Ethernet. Yeah, so pretty decent design here. I'm going to remove a couple of screws, and then we'll take a look top down at what's inside the box. So here's our top-down view at this small form factor PC. It's pretty tightly integrated. Now again, I've noticed this is sometimes a challenge when you have these small form factor PCs, is continuing to use desktop components where you could switch over and use laptop components instead. Stuff like this multi-burner. This is a full-size 5¼ inch optical drive. You could use one of those smaller laptop drives and take up a heck of a lot less space. The same went for the hard drive. Would have a 3½ inch hard drive in here. So there's not a lot of room. This whole thing, this whole assembly here, which I can't remove this without taking the front bezel and two screws out. But this comes out, and then underneath there would go a hard drive. So I have a 2½ inch hard drive installed underneath here instead of the 3½ inch, and that's secured with some screws and some zip ties. And then we stuck with this. The optical drive works fine. Underneath, you've got 4 memory DIMM slots. I've got 2 of them populated for a total of 4 gig of RAM. And then we've got our CPU installed in here with a pretty decently sized cooler for the machine, which is good because it is a quad-core processor. This is a Q8200 or 8300. And then we've got our GPU. It's a passively cooled GPU, but it's not very powerful, so we're okay there. And then our Wi-Fi adapter. So pretty tight fit. As far as cooling goes, you really only have this single fan from your processor to work with to cool the entire system down. So, and of course the power supply fan. So you want to make sure that you're not going too overboard, which is one of the nice things I noticed about the way that this was designed was for airflow, you don't have to worry about getting all your airflow from the front of the system because it gets it directly off the side panel. It's wide open here to suck air in and push it out, and then also get a little bit of passive air input for the PCI slot. So I think that's a pretty good idea that the guys at Acer and girls at Acer decided to think about that when they were designing this small form factor case. I'm going to get these screws put back into the side, and I'm going to get this set up with the rest of the components we're going to donate with. Our setup is complete here. We've got this LG Flattron screen here. We've got a PS2 keyboard, and then a USB mouse from HP alongside of our small form factor desktop / tower here. So I'm going to hit the power button, which is just on the top here. We'll get a little bit of a LED flare up, and then the system will boot. It should boot. I think it'll boot. There we go. We get our Acer Empowering People selection there. Screen is all ready to go. So Windows is going to get itself booted up. And while that's happening, we're going to move the camera once again, and we'll take a look at the hardware specs stuff going on in hardware info. We've got hardware info up and running, and our specs are as follows with this Intel Core 2 Quad Q8300 processor. So that's a 4-core and no hyperthreading, obviously. We're running at 2 to 2.4 gigahertz in terms of speed. We've got 4 gig of RAM installed. Again, that could be upgraded in the future. And then for graphics, instead of the onboard, Intel GMA graphics that this thing would come with, we've got a Sapphire Radeon HD 4350 with a half a gig worth of memory. Again, it's not a super powerful processor GPU here, that RV710, but it's decent. It certainly matches well, I think, with the Q8300, and will give us good Windows 10 desktop performance capability. We've matched that up with a 320 gig hard drive and then a DVD burner. So let's see how this Q8300 is going to be able to handle some YouTubing. And the YouTubing I've got in mind is our Corroborate. So we're 1080p, buffered up, and I'm looking and seeing pretty good here. Now again, I've got X264FI, the plugin here to force using the X264 codec for any YouTube videos, and that's helpful for older graphics adapters and older processors that don't have all the instruction sets available built into them, and all of the drivers available for them to do that. I think it's called VP9 is the codec that YouTube uses now. Anyways, the quality here is good. There's 0 frame drops at 1080p, and I don't see any skips or hesitation, so I call this a absolute win as far as this system build goes. So that completes my look at this Acer Aspire small form factor, really long part name desktop computer and the setup, all ready to go for donation. I hope you enjoyed watching the video and checking it out. If you have one of these machines, you maybe had a chance, or you're looking at buying one, you can see what's inside of it now and what kind of upgrade you might be able to do on the machine going forward as well. As always, I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and we will catch you in the next one.